Hello. Welcome to the Thane and Friends podcast. This is episode 5. I'm your host, Thane Taylor. As a guest, we've got Michael Donatelli. You can find him on Twitter at Mike D. Donatelli. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on, Mike.
What's going on, Thane? Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Definitely. It's like I've said earlier. We've been connecting on Twitter and social for about a little over a year now, and I just love your energy, love your vibe, and it's great to connect off of Twitter, have a conversation over the phone.
100%. Yeah, you were one of the first guys that when I started on Twitter that I really connected with. I think you, Seth, Sam, Francis, that whole crew, and I'm so pumped that we have this opportunity now to kind of get to know each other off the platform.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring you on because there's two things that I really think you do that's super interesting. I don't know when it was. Was it last summer that you took you basically got in your car, had a tent on top of it, and traveled the United States? How did that come about, and what did you think of going into that you would gain from that experience?
Yeah, so it kind of came about randomly where I was supposed to, I was in college at the time, and I was supposed to study abroad in Italy, but given the state of the world, I was unable to do that. So I kind of looked at what the next best thing was, and I had read an article about a guy who planned the perfect road trip to visit all the national parks, and that kind of sparked my mind of, maybe I'll just get in my car, find a way to make it work. All my classes were online, and I'm just going to go and see what adventures I can find and see what I can see. And that's kind of how it all came into fruition. And then I just made it happen. The semester came around, and I took off and never looked back.
That is so awesome. So when you did that, did you go in with like an agenda of, I want to just keep my mind open, have certain experiences and expand your perspective, or did you, what mindset did you have going into that?
Yeah, so I was really under the mindset of, I just want to experience as much as I can experience. I felt like, when I grew up, I was kind of just, in a little bit of a bubble in my hometown. It was a great hometown, and I loved it. But then going to college was a great eye-opening experience of just meeting new people from different backgrounds from me. And then that kind of got me eager to then look for other opportunities. So that's what inspired me to want to study abroad in the first place. And when I couldn't do that, I kind of thought to myself, there's a lot of diversity just in the United States in general, in terms of, people, environments, and really all across the board. So I wanted to experience that and just open my eyes to the different ways of life, and then just, what incredible beauty in terms of nature that there is in our own kind of backyard.
Yeah. So what states did you travel through? I mean, you started where and ended? I know you went through Arizona and all that, but kind of talk me through that path.
Yeah. So I ended up going to 17 different states, and I'll do my best to kind of give you the quick route. But I started in Illinois, and then I went to Indiana to visit some friends, and then kind of went down south to through Missouri, through Oklahoma, then into Texas, then New Mexico, Arizona, and then I kind of kitty corner across back to Utah, and then went into Nevada through Vegas, then into California, up the coast, Oregon, Washington, across the top into Montana, and then I went down. Yeah, then I went down to Wyoming, back into Utah, then across Colorado, and then into Nebraska, Iowa, and then home.
Nice. That is what a route. Jeez.
Yeah, I got a lot done over the course of, it was about 3.5 months. I clocked it was a little over 15,000 miles traveled. I ended up getting 3 oil changes during that time.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, saw pretty much most of the Western United States.
Man, and so during that time, did you spend nights mostly at state parks, or how did you coordinate that?
Yeah, so I spent it was a good mix of campgrounds and then national forest campgrounds as well, and then public land. So there's any land that's run by the Bureau of Land Management, you can camp on for up to 28 days, as long as it's not, as long as it's public land. And I would find those spots. I had an app called iOverlander that kind of hinted out where those spots were, and I would go and try to stay at places that were on that app, and then were public land, because then I didn't have to pay anything. Wow. And then I would mix that with campgrounds when I was in a more populated area that I couldn't find that public land. Wow,
that's interesting. I've never considered that. That's a great way to save on expenses for sure, huh?
Yeah, for sure. It was a really eye-opening experience, because as I was doing kind of just some prep for the trip, that was a thing I was trying to figure out, is where was I going to stay? Was I just going to put my tent up in a Walmart parking lot, or was I going to just get campgrounds booked? And it ended up being a mix of the public land and then the private campgrounds that I would then use in, like I said, around cities or just around areas that didn't have as much public open land, or places that I didn't feel safe camping in those public areas.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to get to ice cream, but real quick, what is the most beautiful thing you experienced on that road trip?
The most beautiful thing has to be just how kind everyone that I came across was. So I just very quickly, I met hundreds of different people at campgrounds, on hikes and everything. And I think there's this perspective that a lot of people have,
oh my gosh,
especially in the past few years, that a lot of people are, angry and mean, and that's not necessarily the case. Everyone was so kind. That's
awesome. Very cool. So one other thing we have in common together is our love for ice cream. A lot of people, some people know this, but in my senior year in high school, I won an ice cream eating championship. I ate 3 pints of ice cream within 90 seconds. I took home the school title, and that was amazing, and I'm very well known for that. But you love ice cream too.
I do.
What got you into that? You're a wrestler. I'm a wrestler too, so that might be that might have something to do with it. But what's your favorite, with like top couple flavors of ice cream?
Yeah. So favorite flavor of ice cream all time is cookie dough, chocolate chip cookie dough.
Okay.
Always my go-to. If I'm going, my favorite franchise ice cream place is, I love Dairy Queen. I'm a big Blizzard guy.
Okay.
And my go-to Blizzard is a cookie dough Blizzard with M&Ms included.
Cookie dough Blizzard M&Ms. You got the vanilla.
Vanilla base. Vanilla.
Okay.
Yeah.
You ever do? So when you are at home, what do you keep in your freezer?
So I pretty much only keep cookie dough ice cream in my freezer. It tends to be either like the Edie's brand or Breyers.
Okay.
They're simple, they're reliable, and I really enjoy it.
You have thoughts on soft serve? Some people are really hardcore on one or the other.
So I'll enjoy a soft serve ice cream, especially on a hot summer's day, just going to McDonald's, getting a cone or something. But it's not my favorite. I prefer a hard scoop.
I'm a little bit controversial in this, in the fact that I enjoy my ice cream with a splash of milk. I know some people don't do that, but I put a splash of milk in there, and then I stir it up. So it kind of becomes, I pretend, I do Fairlife milk, so I pretend that's kind of like a protein shake.
Yeah.
Kind of trick my mind into thinking it's healthy, but it's very good. And you don't have to avoid the textured stuff too. It's really good even with the chunks. And my favorite ice cream is, it's called Mocha. What is it called? It's got like Mocha Java chips in there. So get the coffee flavor in there, and actually do coffee, milk, and ice cream, instant coffee, milk, and ice cream almost every morning. So that's something that people don't. They've got to.
I've never heard of that, and I'm going to try that now.
You should. You definitely should.
That's incredible.
Mike, we've got 22 seconds left. What's your number one thing, piece of life advice?
Number one piece of life advice? That's a good one. Just connect with more people. There's so many incredible experiences and stories that you can hear, but you'll never hear them and learn them unless you put yourself out there and connect with new people.
Love it.